to another country and not put them in small cages and torture them and make them some sort of show and some sort of entertainment for human beings. The fourth one was regarding education and something to do with the animals' rights to live like humans. Well, we'd like to know if education has to come with us bringing a lion all the way from the end of the world. I mean, we learn about Mars. They don't bring Mars down to Earth for us to learn about it. If we were to invest the money invested in zoos into other sectors whereby we're teaching people about lions, we're creating the opportunities for them to interact with people possibly from Africa, or some sort of cultural interaction between people who live in a country with these animals, or some sort of excursion to the other country, we don't need to bring a lion all the way to another country and torture this lion for a selfish reason, such as human knowledge. Well, human knowledge is very important, but animals are just as important, and just like the opposition said, animals have the right to live just like humans. And I don't believe that we're living in any sort of zoo here. I don't live in a cage, and I'm not fed every day by a certain master of mine, and I'm not limited to how many people I can reproduce, and my feces do not go to a certain box. I live freely, and I think animals should live just as freely. I will go on to rebuild our arguments. The first one was a moral argument regarding taking them from their natural habitat. Now, again, they said that there was a clash between the economics and the moral argument, but I will clarify these arguments so that there is no clash. The moral argument was that we're taking them from a natural habitat, we're locking them, we are torturing them. They're living in different places, we're forcing them to do an unnatural adaptation. We are inducing a climate change that these animals do not have to suffer from. The second one is regarding damaging the ecological chain. Well, we'll rebuild on this. There's a loss of biodiversity. We're moving these animals, we're putting them in different countries, and as a result, we're having less of certain animals, more of certain animals, and this is affecting the biodiversity. There are more rats, for example, and less snakes, and these rats do harm to both humans and animals equally. There are insects that are beneficial to the environment that are dying because there are a lot of rats out there. The third argument is regarding the pollution created. We are not blaming these animals for the pollution created. We're just saying that there's a clash between zoos and the cities these zoos are put in. These zoos are expecting visitors every day. Hundreds and hundreds of these visitors come, eat, pollute, and enjoy whatever it is that they enjoy. These zoos are polluting by the construction, by the materialistic things that they're building. They're not polluting by having animals there. While the animals' manure do pollute the city with their smell, that's not the biggest problem. The biggest problem is with the industrialization created by this zoo, with the unnatural, unenvironmental things that are implemented. Rather than having a nice forest, we're having a nice constructed zoo in a city where animals are living. Animals are not supposed to be living in buildings. We all know that. The fourth argument was regarding economics. When we said waste of money, we said waste of money not wasted on animals, because these animals are not being taken care of properly. Rather than investing in zoos, which are completely selfish and completely to the benefit of humans, if we do in fact care about animals, if we do in fact want to protect animals from hunters, if we do in fact want to protect animals from people who are going to use them for fur, then why don't we invest money into animal rights? Why are we doing this to our own benefit? Why are we being selfish? The waste of money argument is regarding the maintenance, this importing of animals, this whole industrial idea, and this whole money being spent on stupid purposes that could be spent otherwise. We could spend this money, if we care about education, about animal rights, we could just go ahead and spend this money in these sectors. We could create national reserves, we could create educational centers where people exchange information. We could create anything for that matter. We could help NGOs fighting for animal rights. This money is being wasted on an entertainment sector, on a tourism sector that is much better elsewhere. We could have much better things for tourism than zoos that are harming the environment, that are harming the animals, and are simply selfish. I believe that as the second speaker, I have rebutted all four of the opposition arguments, and I have rebuilt our arguments pretty well. And this is why we believe that the affirmative wins the case with the 3 points that zoos are morally, environmentally, and economically detrimental. Thank you.
I would like to thank the second affirmative speaker, and I would like to call the second negative speaker.
like to say I would like to rebuttal some of the points that were brought up by the opposite team. The first one was the moral point that was brought up, that it is immoral. The team had argued that it is immoral to keep animals from their living habitat, and by Benedict it was brought up that in Africa elephants are being taken away and brought into zoos and just kept in a well-heated environment. Well, I like to bring up that if animals are free, were to be free, such as the elephants in Africa, then this is harming them, because many people know, as well as I do, that in Africa there are hunters that go after them for their horns, because it is sacred. Their horns are very sacred, and that is immoral to do so to an animal. That is disrespecting the animal and their way of life, and almost just saying that the elephants are nothing to people in the world today. The second argument that was brought up is that pollution is that zoos pollute the environment, and that the animals are being put in an environment that is not well kept, and the animals in the zoos are kept in a well maintenance environment. Their waste is cleaned up every time, so they don't have to go and, for example, go and eat their own feces, because that's very unsanitary as well. I would have to say that the pollution environment in the zoos are, as I would like to say, repetitive, that they're well maintenance. The fourth argument is that they had mentioned was the waste of money, that we should go and build educational centers and have a whole park to keep them in, and so they'll have more space. I do not agree with this, because when people go into zoos and you pay the entry fee, you are giving the money. That money is going towards the animals and keeping up with them and keeping maintenance with them, and the people that take care of them, they're